Hey guys, Claire here, and in today's video we're going to talk about all things Harry and Meghan. It looks like we'll be seeing a lot more of Harry and Meghan next month. The Duke of Sussex will be joining Andrew Ross Sorkin for the conversation at the New York Times DealBook conference on Wednesday, December 4th in New York City. Meanwhile, in LA, the Duchess of Sussex is expected to attend the 2024 Paley Honors Fall Gala on the very same day. Meghan will be helping to honor Tyler Perry for the Paley Honors Award. Both Harry and Meghan were on the hosting committee for their friend. I am looking forward to seeing both the Duke and Duchess as they divide and conquer. Speaking of which, I'm sure most of you will remember Meghan previously took part in the New York Times DealBook conference years before. This year's conference is packed full of amazing names such as Jeff Bezos, Bill Clinton, Serena Williams, and of course, Prince Harry. Highbrow Hippie recently posted about their experiences since the launch of their new line. And the caption says, "We have to admit we have no idea what to expect when you launched. Who does? And the reality is that we are a small business that was hit with months worth of orders in just the first 4 days. Throw in a fully booked holiday schedule at the atelier, a disappointing amount of mean-spirited emails from another country, parentheses, serious question, are y'all okay? And a few more wild, unexpected curveballs, and the first week and a half was not for the weak." So happy to hear that they're booked and busy. It's unfortunate that a certain subsection of people continue to harass anyone who has some sort of connection to Harry and Meghan. The inclusion of that part of the mean-spirited emails from another country. So it's not a stretch to imagine exactly who she's referring to. As someone whose comment section is regularly on the receiving end of a lot of mean-spirited comments from a certain subsection of people, I know what that feels like, and it sucks to just have this barrage of negativity thrown your way because you don't share their similar points of views. In the last video, we touched on a little bit of the Channel 4 documentary about Camilla. And today, I quickly want to touch on the other part of her rehabilitation efforts. In the last video, we touched on her and Charles using Harry as the scapegoat to rehabilitate their battered public images. This time around, we're going to talk about her forging relationships with members of the press and how that intertwines with the scapegoat work to accomplish her goals.
One thing Harry is undeniably right about is that Camilla's relationship with the press has been key to her creation. Tucked away down a quiet alley off Fleet Street is St. Bride's Church. For over a century, journalists have flocked here, and for the past decade, St. Bride's has had a very special patron watching over it.
I think the fact that Camilla is patron of St. Bride's Church, which is commonly known as the Journalists' Church, is quite ironic, and I think it would be ammunition for Harry to prove his point that Camilla's in bed with these nasty journalist people.
It will not be seen as a particularly glittering episode in the British monarchy. I think it'll be the opposite. I think it's rather tatty, tawdry. It's a story of opportunism and extraordinary cruelty to those who got caught up under the wheels of their inexorable, inevitable love.
So Camilla the Rat has been exposed in this Channel 4 documentary, which probably explains her disappearance and why she's been pulling out of so many events and these sudden illnesses that have taken over her. It's purely because she knew that this was coming because of a great relationship with the press and therefore wanted to hide from everything. It is truly remarkable that in this documentary she was brutally exposed to such an extent that the same journalists who basically were denouncing and discrediting everything Harry and Meghan have said about Camilla have basically been confirmed by those very same journalists, that it was Camilla selling these stories, that it was Camilla against Harry and Meghan, that it was Camilla who was making their lives an absolute living hell. It is truly remarkable that this has happened, that this has aired, and it makes sense to me that she wants no part of this conversation, which is why she has completely disappeared from everything that is happening right now when it comes to the Royal Rota UK press and their schedules of engagements. She has run away. The rat has truly gone and has burrowed herself underneath, and we don't know how long she's going to be there for, but it definitely is something that is not great for her.
So alongside with the scapegoating of Harry, we have Camilla, who has been fostering these relationships for quite a while now. Even to this day, we see stories about Harry, we see stories about Meghan come from members of the press with huge voices and a large amount of reach. We see her with friends like Angela Levin, like Piers Morgan, like Jeremy Clarkson. So once again, everything that Harry and Meghan has said is right there, is available for all to see in this docuseries. The thing that pisses me off the most is the talking heads in this documentary, like Robert Jobson, etc. They know how things work behind the scenes. They know that every single thing that Harry and Meghan has said has been true. Everything. Yet they'll take money and go on these panel discussions and write their articles and their stupid little books saying the direct opposite. Painting Harry and Meghan as whiners or whingers, as liars. And then you see them in a documentary, or sometimes Robert Jobson, whenever he's on American media, the way he speaks is very different to the way he speaks when he's surrounded by royal correspondents. It's giving two-faced. It's giving phony. And it just really, really annoys me. And this is why Harry hates the British press as much as he does. Quite frankly, I do not blame him.
Morning from an even saltier version of Salty Island, if that can even be a thing, as the Channel 4 documentary about Camilla, the wicked stepmother, drops. I had time to watch it last night. I'm going to pull out my 3 main observations with receipts and evidence so you don't have to watch it. How kind am I? Firstly, I want to say the first observation is this headline here where it shows a bias towards Harry. I think it was skillful, dedicated and careful reporting. I didn't see a bias towards anybody. That's all I'm going to say. Point 2, there was always a plan to bring Camilla into the royal family, and that plan existed whilst Diana was still around. Who was the main contributor to the plan? Charles. Who had a lot of input to the plan? Camilla. What would have happened if Diana would have survived? Who knows? It opens that whole book of trauma about was Diana's death an accident or not, just because of the timings of everything. Third and last point you'd be glad to hear, Harry was definitely made a scapegoat. They used Harry to make themselves look better and to be able to deflect from Camilla being transitioned into the non-working royal family.
So along with both of the Channel 4 documentaries about William and Charles and their slumlord ways, this documentary about Camilla, couple that with the article that sort of insinuated that there was precancerous versus cancerous, if you catch my drift. And then there was a recent article about Meghan's sister. That article was not pleasant. So I'm wondering what's going on there. Is this the media sort of like being irritated at their lack of access to the Sussexes and the fact that a lot of the anti-Meghan and Harry stories are not having the reach as it did in previous years? Because I feel like the more they continue to bash Harry and Meghan, the more most people are like, okay, that's enough now. They're not bothering anyone. They're going about with their life. Every time we do see them, they're smiling. They're doing philanthropic work. There is no drama there. This is fabricated. So without having the access to the Sussexes, are they reverting back to sort of calling out the Windsors and those within that sphere out a little bit more? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Anti-Meghanite logic. Well, we don't like her because she's got no contact with her dad. Also, anti-Meghanite logic. Yeah, Samantha, tell us what she did, even though all of your children have gone no contact with you. Make that make sense.
I've always been curious about how royalists and the British tabloids feel about Duchess Meghan's family that speak to the press. Because in the run-up to the wedding, Samantha Markle, Thomas Markle, and Thomas Jr. were everywhere, bashing Meghan and Harry and the royal family as much as possible. It's been 8 years since Samantha tried to push her way into Meghan's life after Meghan met Prince Harry, and Meghan said, no, we don't know each other, and we're not about to start now. And every tabloid has pulled every ounce of a story that they possibly could from Samantha and her dad and her older brother. There's literally nothing else to tell because there wasn't much to begin with. And the fact that this article was published, basically pretty truthful in what it says. I mean, there are a little few things here and there that aren't right, but overall, this article really paints a picture of Samantha and how she has been acting over the last 8 years. Just the jealousy and bitterness inside her has resulted in a fruitless lawsuit against Duchess Meghan and estrangement from basically everyone she knows, because no one can stand the utter anger this woman has inside and her refusal to get help with it. And because the tabloids have basically wrung out every ounce of what they could get out of Samantha, this is all they have left, showing her bitterness. So here's part one of us dissecting this article. Quote, inside the lonely life of Meghan Markle's older sister Samantha. As she turns 60 today, she'll be celebrating in isolation due to estrangement from both of her daughters, as well as a long-running, one-sided feud with the Duchess, which led to defamation battle. The article starts off by saying that when Samantha found out in October 2016 that her half-sister had started dating Prince Harry, she wasn't happy or celebrating. She was mad. She was sour. And 2 days afterwards, the tabloids got a hold of all of Meghan's estranged family members and published an article in The Sun that was titled, Don't Fall for My Little Sister, Harry. She'd be the next Princess Pushy. So she couldn't even hide her bitterness. And the article claims that this was just the beginning of an onslaught of bad press for the future Duchess from her estranged sister. She became prolific in the tabloid genre of interviews and programs that invited her on to bash Meghan, a woman that she had only known maybe 2 years total in all of their lives, because Samantha was 17 when Meghan was born and moved out of their father's house when she was 19. She posted pictures that she had of Meghan and her, and there's one from when Meghan was like 2, and then there was another when Meghan and Samantha's father asked Meghan to come see her graduate, and she obliged. 2 whole pictures that she has of them both together, and her alleging that she had raised Meghan and drove her to school and did all kinds of stuff with her, and it was all just lies. After the interview that Harry and Meghan gave to Oprah in 2021, Samantha decided she would try to cash in on Meghan herself instead of just, selling stories to tabloids, and sued her for defamation. In court filings, she challenged Meghan's claims that she grew up as an only child and didn't have much of a relationship with her siblings, and saying that her telling the truth hurt the sales of her self-published book, The Diary of Princess Pushy's Sister, because Samantha only has a name because she's Meghan's sister. And then she claimed in court filings that she was forced to move residence, she wasn't really able to go to any public outings, and she faced realistic death threats because of this Netflix docuseries. But it's court. You have to prove these things. And Samantha couldn't. She wanted $75,000 in damages, but she lost the court battle, obviously. Her lawyers did appeal the ruling in April, and there are still an ongoing challenge, but Samantha's not going to win because she has to add new evidence. And since April, all that her lawyers have done has filed extensions. They've added absolutely nothing else to the filings. The article continues on that Samantha doesn't really have a close relationship with anyone. She's got 2 daughters and a son. They don't really talk about the son here, but the 2 daughters were raised by their grandparents. The son was as well. And Samantha really didn't have a relationship with them growing up. And the older daughter, Ashley, is actually the best friend of Duchess Meghan. When Thomas Sr. told Meghan that Samantha had, reinitiated a relationship with Ashley, Meghan was really excited. She's like, yeah, let's be friends too. So she ended up getting a hold of Ashley, and they became, inseparable. Like, they were actually more sisters than Meghan and Samantha themselves. And you would think if Samantha wanted a relationship with Meghan, there was a perfect opportunity right there. Her daughter is becoming friends with her. Maybe she could do it then, but it's like something stopped her. And I think it was because she had zero interest in Meghan. Meghan, was making a name for herself, and she was on Suits at the time, but I just don't think Samantha was really interested in having a relationship with Meghan. What changed was when she got with Harry. Now there's a reason to be friends with somebody. And Meghan saw right through it. But even though Ashley and Samantha reignited a relationship, it didn't last very long because Samantha just could not get over Meghan having everything that I guess Samantha thought she deserved. And she never spoke out. I mean, I didn't even know about Ashley until the Netflix docuseries. And Samantha's other daughter, Noelle Rasmussen, she spoke out to the run up to the wedding, saying she was embarrassed by Samantha's antics because she was being crazy online. She actually flew all the way to England to try to give Meghan a letter, and then she tried the angle of our poor sick father, you need to talk to him. Well, the phone works both ways, and Meghan has said she never changed her number. Her dad was always able to call her, but he, for some reason, just like Samantha, feels entitled to a relationship with Meghan. And he's never going to call and apologize because he just wants Meghan to forget everything, sweep it all under the rug, pretend it didn't happen, and, initiate a relationship with him. And that's just not going to happen anymore. She has set her boundaries, and they're not coming down. The article continues that, she's in isolation, but it is self-imposed. Then it goes back to 1981, and Samantha and Thomas Jr. was living with their dad when he married Doria, and they ended up having Meghan together. And apparently this almost adult Samantha had a lot of resentment for her father paying attention to his new daughter. And she claims that she was an awkward teenager and felt even more displaced and unattractive, basically comparing herself to this newborn baby, which is very unhealthy. And then it goes to Meghan's parents got divorced when Meghan was 2, and Samantha would continue seeing Meghan on and off for years when she would come and visit. But I guess she didn't, get out immediately. But they do jump around through the timeline here because they skip forward to Meghan being of school age, and Thomas and Doria sending her to a private school, which they both paid for. The article omits Doria like she didn't exist, but if Thomas only sent Meghan to that private school, then why didn't he send Samantha and the other one? You know what I mean? It was because he couldn't afford it on his own. So that's something Samantha may need to talk about with him and her mother, because this has nothing to do with Meghan. And then she goes on to say that her own appearance was like a pair of stilts, and this is going back to when Meghan was 1. So she's comparing her looks to a literal baby. And then they throw in this interview that Samantha gave with Tina Brown, whose claim to fame was eating lunch with Princess Diana almost 30 years ago. That's her claim to fame. And she noticed that Samantha's jealousy had curdled. It had gotten even worse in the few years that Meghan and Harry were together. And that time has not healed the wound. Despite Samantha saying she last saw Meghan in 2008, because Meghan flew in to see her graduate at 44, Samantha remains bitter. Yeah, we know.
For my money, I am going to always bet on the woman who knows how to play the silent treatment the planned ignoring game. The way Meghan Markle, since her docuseries, I want to be very clear. The way Meghan Markle, since the docuseries, which was November of 2022, the way she has masterfully not given the royal family a glance, the fact that she's not uttered a word, a name, an event, the fact that she's not publicly since November of 2022, the fact that she has not publicly acknowledged the existence of that family. Let me tell you something. That is masterful. People keep saying they're tired of hearing her name. And I'm like, talk to your media. You have to understand Meghan isn't going to The Sun and writing the editorials for them. Their reporters are doing that, not Meghan.
And with that, we've come to the end of today's video. And for all of my listeners who celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving to you and yours. By the time I make it back home from the holidays, I'm not sure if I'll be able to have my usual Saturday video up. I'm a very slow editor and I do it all myself. So I'm not sure that I'll be able to have it up in time. And if that is the case, then I will have it up on Sunday. And that's it for housekeeping. And in this season of Thanksgiving, I want to take a moment to say a very special thank you to all of you for watching my videos, for commenting, for liking, for sharing. Thank you for your super thanks. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your well wishes. Just thank you for being here and supporting me and this channel. I appreciate each and every one of you so much. You have no idea. And even if you just watch and you don't leave comments, because occasionally I'll have someone say, well, you know, I watch, but I don't comment, but you know, here's my thoughts on this or that or the other. I appreciate it all the same. So wherever you guys are, thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a peaceful and productive week. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, hit that notification bell.